What's up, guys? Peter from Panda here. Hey, I want to show you this watch because it's a series of watches that you guys have been asking about. I've gotten a number of comments. Hey, show us your watch collection. And while the reality is you've probably seen my watch collection if you've watched my reviews, but what I thought I would do in terms of keeping this video short is show you a handful of watches that I actually wear on a fairly regular basis because invariably, there are watches that you like more. There are shirts that you like more. There are a pair of shoes that you like more. If you're Jay Leno, there's a handful of cars in your garage of 200 cars that you like driving the most. And so I thought I would give you kind of a walkthrough of the watches that I like to wear the most and for what reasons. So to start off, this is my Casio Tough Solar. This watch is actually like 20 or 30 bucks. I actually really dig it because it's big and chunky, and it's a watch that you can wear outdoors. It's a watch you can beat to heck, and it does its job. And the cool thing about it is I never have to worry about what the battery level is because it's solar. I've worn this on camping trips and rafting trips and skiing, and the fact that it's plastic means it doesn't really, stick to my skin and stuff when it's really, really cold out. But this is a watch I actually wear more than you might think for being a $20 or $30 watch. Let's do a quick wrist check here. I've got the Shinola Canfield Cannonball on. This has actually been turned into my daily wearer here for a while because it's just kind of like the Goldilocks watch. It's a sweet size. It's small, yet it looks pretty big. It's easy to wear. It's comfortable. It looks great. It's kind of has a casual elegance about it. It's kind of a timeless design. I really dig that. So let me actually pull out another watch that I wear a lot, which I think actually is kind of similar in some ways. And this is my Bell & Ross limited edition Guinevere. Yeah, they're both limited edition. So if you can see there, it's going to be hard to get them on the same plane, but they both have that kind of railroad track outer ring. They both have similar numbering. The Arabic numerals on here are kind of in this tan that happens to match the strap, wire lugs. This is all lume, both on the hands and the numbers. Kind of this bead blasted finish on it, and just a smart looking watch. This watch I love wearing. If I could change anything about it, instead of, I think it's an 18 millimeter strap, might be a 20 millimeter strap, but I think it's like an 18 millimeter strap, which is actually intentional, and they did that because it's kind of common for pocket watch turned wristwatch designs. But I absolutely love this watch. I might have gone just a couple millimeters wider to kind of make it look a little less bracelety, but this watch is super comfortable to wear. It is obviously not running right now. It is automatic though, and it is just a beautiful watch. It goes with everything, and I love the fact that people in the know will see it and they'll say, "Oh, I saw Bell & Ross and really like it." So this watch is really, really awesome. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. Okay, let's go downstream a little bit here. This is a watch. It's a Citizen. It's ion plated, I believe, not PVD plated. It's black. Obviously, it has this canvas strap. This is what it came with. It says Citizen on there. I like it because it's an Eco Drive, solar powered. Has a little, globe on the dial there. It's just a nice looking watch, and it's pretty tough. And what I like is that if I'm going on vacation, I'm going to do snorkeling or hiking or something like that, one of these watches is probably what I'll take in terms of, not having to worry about getting lost, want something to beat around, want something that I can go to dinner with. If I were going to go to Hawaii for a vacation, this is probably the watch I would take because, I could wear it around and, go on the golf course with it or go to the beach with it. Now, if I were really going to do some outdoor trekking, the watch I would take and wear is this one. This is the Citizen Ultrachron. And I like this one. It comes in this green or it comes in a red scheme with a black case. I like this one a little bit better. It's a little more subtle, a little more futuristic, but it has not only the compass, but it also has, let's see if I can get it to go there, the altimeter. And so you do have two really actually useful functions for when you're outdoor hiking, walking, backpacking, etc., etc. It's not very heavy. The watch is pretty big. It's almost 50 millimeters and it's pretty thick, but it's a lot of hardware in there. And I replaced this strap with a canvas or a nylon strap, which I think is pretty durable, and it kind of breathes a little bit better than the rubber straps that you typically get with these. But when I go to Arizona and do some hiking, and because people have gotten lost, and because the trails aren't always that well marked, this is the one I'll take because the true outdoor functions on it is what makes it really useful, as opposed to something like this, which is great, and I don't have to worry about the battery, but it doesn't really provide any kind of outdoor utility. This one does, and it's also eco drive, so I don't have to worry about the battery level on that. Let's jump up just a little bit here to this modern amusement by U-Boat. I did a review on this. I did some research on this because it is a U-Boat. It is kind of a very early watch that they did in conjunction with modern amusement. U-Boat actually started out as kind of like a lot of watch companies do, by doing quartz movements, by branding them with audiences. This one's not in the greatest shape because it's pretty old. U-Boat has definitely moved upstream successfully from here. But the funny thing is their designs have stayed relatively true to what they started with, kind of this oversized protector on the crown, these big numbers with really heavy loom. I love what they're doing on the three-dimensional dials. In terms of looking at this at a glance and seeing U-Boat, you would say, oh, that is a U-Boat, but it's kind of in no way the same animal of what they're producing right now. But these older quartz U-Boats, which funny thing is that U-Boat will service these, as far as I know. When I've had repairs, you can send this back to U-Boat. They will service it. They totally acknowledge, kind of quietly, that this is part of their heritage. But they have gone quite a bit upstream from here. This is not the original band on here. I've worn that one out and replaced it. But I like wearing this, and sometimes people who know U-Boat will ask about it. Even watch guys don't know sometimes about these early U-Boats. So anyway, so I'd throw that out there. This one I like too, and I don't wear this one as often as I used to. This is an R-Page, Richard Page's company. He's a watch guy. I think he's a transplant to Hawaii. He has bought a bunch of vintage movements, vintage dials. He's crafted and designed this kind of Art Deco case himself. He takes those pocket watch movements and fits them into these watches. He makes a lot of different styles because of the dial changes, but all the cases are essentially the same. Some are polished, some are blasted, some are finished, etc., etc. But they all typically at this point have the same case style, but the dials can vary very widely. They're about $3,000, and that is, that's probably on the expensive end because he doesn't build the movements, he doesn't build the dials or anything like that. But he's really kind of bringing together these marriage watches, kind of old and new. And he does it pretty successfully. This is the original band that came on it. Obviously, a very, very thick leather band. R-Page. You can go on, but pretty much any watch you get from him is going to be not a one of one, but they're going to be pretty rare. Even for other R-Pages out there, you won't see a lot of similarity. Now, this one was an experimental watch that I was able to get my hands on. I think it's one of 12 experimental watches he did, so it is kind of a one of one technically. But they're all mechanical, and so you have to wind them up. It's not an automatic movement, but there are guys, particularly in forums, because I think Richard Page was very active. In fact, he developed one of the early watch forums himself, and so he's kind of well known in the watch community. But this is just kind of an example of something you can get from R-Page. So check that out. As I showed you, I'm wearing my Shinola, my limited edition here, and the other one that it's kind of replaced in my rotation is this original Runwell limited edition. So this is one of the original. And I've got a jumping seconds hand here, folks. So what that means is my battery is dying. So I'm gonna have to replace the battery on this pretty soon. And I didn't know that because I haven't worn it in a while. The difference here is that this one, and I've had others too. 40 millimeter as well. This one's a 47 millimeter. I really like it. I'm just going to throw it up here next to this watch so you can kind of see the difference. The 47 versus the 43 millimeter, the Canfield, does have some pretty big differences. I do like 47 millimeter and I will wear it on a daily basis, particularly with short sleeves. But on long sleeves, like it is here in the winter, the 43 is just a much more wearable watch. The other thing about the Runwell is that they have a pretty thick case, not super thick, but pretty thick. It's got a pretty thick bezel, and but it's just a classic vintage or almost trench watch style design. I really loved it. The idea that Shinola was going to come out originally and launch with 1,000 pieces of this, 1,500 in the smaller size, was something I originally missed because I was just kind of discovering Shinola, so I actually had to buy this secondhand. The prices on these went sky high for a while, which is probably when I bought it, unfortunately. And now you can find them, if you can find them, at a fairly reasonable price, kind of about the original retail price of the watches. But classic good looks, Horween leather, vegetable tanned Horween leather, kind of everything vintage, the vintage band. Stainless steel dial. Even the loom that's on the numbers here just kind of gave it a little bit of an off-white, a tannish khaki color to the numerals, which kind of looked more vintage. So I just think it's a really good looking watch. Classic style. I don't think it'll ever go out of style, and you can really wear it. And for people, like I said, that are Shinola fans, really the limited edition watches are the ones that people will pick out. But a lot of people will notice Shinola. Like I said, a lot of people, when I'm wearing my Bell and Ross, say, "Oh, do you have a Shinola?" So Shinola has done a wicked good job in terms of marketing. So good on them. Love seeing a Detroit company work out pretty well. Let me show you this one here. This is the unique. This is the P47. Ukrainian, Georgian, Russian designer, but making a watch that kind of commemorates the P47, which is right there on the back, the P47 Thunderbolt, kind of a successful plane during World War II. This one is a limited edition run of 100 pieces. Now, it's a little bit misleading because they made three versions of this watch, a green dial and a blue dial and a gray dial, which I have here. So there were actually 300 of them. But what I loved is the design of this watch. Like I said, I did a full review of this. I love kind of the brushed stainless steel case. It's really thick. Obviously, 47 millimeters is pretty heavy. It's the same dimension or same size as this 47 millimeter Runwell, but it looks bigger because I think it's significantly thicker. I love that they put this limited edition plate on the side there, using the empty space there, especially when you make a big watch like this. You can kind of get a lot of real estate to do some nice stuff on. The construction has been absolutely phenomenal. This thing feels like it's a tank. I actually like this. The rounded edge here and the slight cuts here. Just like I said, Nord, the Zeit machine watches are one of my favorites, and this kind of has a little bit of that. I said that in that review, that it kind of looks like that. As you can see here, I think that my battery is completely dead because nothing's moving, but it's just unbelievable detail here. The subdials are kind of another plate bolted onto the dial itself. The hands are super thin. Everything is really well lined up. I love like the military aviation gauge kind of sword style hands there. And it has loom. It's this outer bezel is angled. It just has a lot of depth and nice look to it. If I still had my Jeep Wrangler, I'd put this in the glove box because this is the only watch I'd wear with it. I mean, it just says kind of rugged, casual, unique, high quality. It says all that stuff to me. So hopefully it says it to you too. Unique P47. The unique watches are actually kind of interesting, but this is really the only unique watch that I kind of really jived with. So I really like that. So let's jump over here to my Bulova. This is a watch I used to wear quite a bit. I really like it. I switched the band on this to go to this kind of perforated leather band with the blue stitching, which I think kind of matches that iridescent blue, that kind of anodized blue inner dial, inner ring there on the dial. So you can see there as it kind of bounces around. So there's blue and black. It's actually kind of like this highly shiny charcoal gray is really what it comes across as. But it came with an alligator style strap, and I thought it kind of tried to make it a little too luxurious. And the dial to me kind of said a little bit more sporty as a world timer GMT. So it uses the ETA movement, so you can set a different time zone. This inner bezel here can you can rotate it with this upper crown to whatever city you're set on, and then you can wind it up here. It's really nice. Made in conjunction with Richard Branson, who I admire a lot for what he's done and kind of how grounded he appears to be. It's a polished titanium case, which is really really tough to do, but it makes the watch nice and comfortable to wear. It's not overly heavy. You would think it is. I think this is about 47 millimeters as well, or I think it's 45 millimeters, I believe. And just a really nice watch. It's kind of the lugs here are very typical Bulova Accutron style. I actually thought the Accutron name here was a little bit of a misnomer in terms of how Bulova's going, and I can't remember what they call it, but not precision quartz, but something like that, or not precision quartz, but like precision automatic or whatever they're going with now, because the Accutron was a quartz movement and this is an automatic movement. And in fact, you can see it on the back here. So you can see it with the Richard Branson signature engraved on the rotor as well. So again, a limited edition watch. And the cool thing about this is that, Bulova does some limited editions. I like the joint partnership on this one. I really like the style of the watch. I really love GMTs, that it kind of hit all cylinders for me. I love blue. And, it's just, I didn't have a lot of Bulovas in my collection, because they tend to be a lot of quartz movements. They tend not to be super highly sought after. But this one I really thought stepped up the game for Bulova. All right, another watch that I actually really like. I liked Leonardo DiCaprio. He seems like a cool dude. He's obviously very involved in environmental protection. As an outdoorsman, I'm certainly fall into the category of a conservationist. I think protecting the outdoors is important. For future generations. As a Boy Scout too, we have in the outdoor world and in Boy Scouts, there's a leave no trace mentality. So you go out there, you enjoy the wilderness, you clean up after yourself, you don't destroy, you're a protector of it. And the National Resources Defense Council is kind of a professional organization that is working to protect various aspects of the environment. Now, this watch itself, the Aqua Racer version here, is an automatic. It has a screw down crown. It has kind of this vinyl outer bezel here, so it's blue. And I want to say that the vinyl, which is supposed to be very tough, is kind of like the vinyl that they use for football decals. Now, I've only heard that. I don't know that for sure. Personally, I'd rather have like a ceramic or kind of a metal bezel, something that's more easily replaceable, but it looks good. It's a little bit, this is kind of more of a navy blue, and this is more of a royal blue in my eye, but it works and it looks nice. It also came with a blue strap, blue rubber strap, or this bracelet. I have both of the NRDC version, but you could also get it with the green cross. So I want to say they did 1,500 of each of these, NRDC and green cross, and it is an automatic movement. You can see there, nice finish and perlage on some of the components there, and it's just a nice watch. It has really it has significant weight for a 44 millimeter watch. It's kind of sharp edged. It looks good. Deployment clasp there. I have this one sized a little loose. I like wearing bracelets a little loose, but I wouldn't wear it on this wrist. But since I already have a watch on my other wrist, so I like it. This is a kind of a watch that you can wear anywhere, because it's certainly an activity watch. It's obviously a diver type watch. As you can see, the helium release valve over on this side, but I think most people will wear it for formal occasions or formal-ish occasions. Let me step up here to another watch that I really like, and I wear a ton because it's just kind of a watch that again, it's kind of a do-everything watch. This is my Chopard Mille Miglia by Vempe, the jeweler designer. And what I liked about this is I think it was Vempe's. You may know them for having a large, being kind of like a authorized retailer for a lot of luxury brands. But I want to say it was their 100th anniversary. That may be wrong. Maybe it was the 75th anniversary, but they actually partnered with a handful of watch companies to brand, dual brand with the Vempe name, and release those watches. This was one of them. This is one of 100. So it was 1905 to 2005. So I guess it was the 100th anniversary. And what they did with IWC and I think Rolex and a bunch of other brands, they had a handful of watches that they sold for that event. Now this is the only one, as I can remember, that seemed to be like a full on unique watch. I may be wrong about that, but most of them were just a kind of a rebrand of an existing watch. Like this Aqua Racer looks just like every other Aqua Racer out there. The only difference would be is the logo that's printed on the front. And if you owned a company like SpaceX or something, you can go to Tag Heuer and have them print your company name on there as a promotional. No big deal. But this one was really actually very different, I think, from the other Chopars out there, and I really loved it. It was a diver style watch as opposed to a racing style watch. It's very shiny. It had a unique dial which kind of looked vintagey, but it had a super amount of detail on it. The Chopard and Wempe logo are on the second hand there, and it just was really really cool. It's unfortunately there's no exhibition back here, so I can't show you the movement working, but just a great watch, coin edge here, and I wear this one a lot. Now this is not the band that it originally came with, because of that this watch is 11 years old already. The band was in tough shape. Now I've actually gone through a couple different bands, one with the portholes on it, which is kind of more Chopard-ish, and especially in the Miglia line. I really like those. And the guys will recognize with the three portholes on the band as a Chopard, and you can be somewhere and people will be like, "Oh, Chopard." But I kind of went to this. I thought it's a little more subtle, a little more incognito. But guys that really know watches, I think, will recognize the brand. In fact, like I said, when I went and had this watch serviced, there was another customer at the watch shop with I want to say it was like a Mercedes SL 600 Mille Miglia edition. So I didn't even know that that thing existed, but it was like a 2010 or something. Beautiful car. And when he saw this watch, he was kind of he didn't know about it, and I told him a little bit about it, and he kind of wanted to pick one up. But you can go out and get Chopard Mille Miglias all over the place. They're probably about if you get them secondhand, about $4,000. Another one I wear quite a bit, and maybe not quite as often as I used to, but because as you may have seen, I got a new glycine, and I've been wearing that one. Not new, but the black glycine tends to be a little in right now. This glycine is the F104 limited edition. It actually comes in a set with a pocket watch. I don't have the pocket watch here with me, but it's still in the box. But this sucker's big, and the F104, I want to say this is like a 48 millimeter case. I might be a little wrong about that. Heck, it might be even 50, but I think it's like a 48 millimeter case. You can see there the automatic movement inside, and you can see that it's got essentially the spacer around it. So take into account that this is the movement, and then there's this additional space to kind of accommodate it, and that's because it's pretty large. The dial is pretty large. Again, this isn't the wrist I'd be wearing on it normally, but I loved everything about this. I love the F104 style. I love this band. It's kind of this distressed, kind of really antique leather. It's a little big, but I dig it, especially with short sleeves. I dig it. I actually like this kind of articulating link here for the band. I love the way it looks. I love the way it kind of fits to the watch and gives it a little flex. I love the way it kind of is an homage to the early watches that would use this to kind of make it so that you could wear it over the outside of a jacket sleeve or something, and kind of get the lugs more space or less space depending. I love the rivets here. Again, it's kind of a little bit like this unique watch in that it's saying, I'm not trying to be overly formal. I'm okay being like casual. I'm okay being utilitarian. I'm okay being purpose first and aesthetic second. But what ends up happening is it ends up becoming a beautiful, beautiful watch. So I love the rivets there. I love everything about it. I even love that there's kind of this rust-colored stitching on the side. And I like the size. I really love the size. I know people give me crap sometimes for liking bigger watches, but if you have a watch that you're really proud of, why not make it big and show it off? Has a lot of vintage style. The when I got my Bell and Ross, and I said, what, I have a kind of a style I like. The numbers here are almost exactly like the Bell and Ross. The coloring is very very similar. This is more white than because this one's an opaline dial, I believe, and but the numbers are very similar. So you can see that the vintage style watches all had kind of some similar elements. The interesting thing is the six on this, which I think is just kind of a very vintage six. People said, "Oh, I see the G for glycine on there." I don't know that that was purposeful, but they may have said it was. Obviously commemorating 1914, as it says there on the dial. I love the blued hands. It's just a gorgeous watch. It comes with a matching pocket watch, which is cool. I don't know where I would ever use that, but it might be something to display in your office or something. And it's got really detailed outer ring here with the minutes and the seconds. And as you can see there, it's already ticking off, and then a 24-hour markings on the middle or in the center of the dial. So this is a watch that I really love. It's probably my favorite glycine. I actually, some of the things that I worry about sometimes are busting up a watch that I really really love, but you've got to wear them too. But they do make a non-limited edition F104, which looks very similar. It's a little more simplistic in its design, kind of a little more distilled down to the basics. So if you want one of those, they end up being a little cheaper. This watch is not that expensive for what it originally sold for versus what I think it's worth, especially given that you really get two watches in the set. I think these are just a smashing value, and it really kind of breaks my heart that Glycine is kind of one of the most underappreciated Swiss brands. The last watch I want to show you is this one. Is kind of what I bust out for my formal occasions. This is my Arnold and Son. It's a watch that I will wear for more than just formal occasions. And as you can tell here, I have replaced the band. Kind of comes with a yellow or an orange rubber band. I have replaced that because it kind of to make it a little more formal, but obviously going perforated leather and high contrast stitching with the orange to match the dial. I did not go overly formal with like an alligator band. I think it would look fantastic with it. I actually got this one because I absolutely loved the orange look on it. Arnold and Sons can be very white, very black. They can have yellow elements. They can have different color schemes. And this one I just dug, man. I love their kind of bowl-shaped case design. It is it's really unique. Some of them have like a hunter back. You can't see the movement in there, and then you kind of flip it open to see it. And then some of them on the inside of the hunter back case will have like some navigational type of instruments. I don't need that. It adds a little depth to it, but I wouldn't be opposed to it just because it's a cool thing. What's cool is that even the pushers or the extra crowns up here have like kind of this acrylic color matched plastic on the underside, and so there's just detailed upon detail. Curved sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, a magnified window over the date, which you can't see right there. This really elongated red pointer on the hour hand, which helps you kind of look at this degree wheel if you were going to use that, if I even knew how to use that. But the cool thing is this is a GMT, and like I said, I'm smitten with GMTs. So let me see if I can show you anything that's useful. So I can rotate this outer bezel with this top crown. I usually just leave it oriented like that because I don't know what else to do with it. Screw down crown here, and let's see if I can get... Okay, so I'm winding the movement there, and then you can see that inner wheel is your GMT wheel. So that little north pip would go to whatever time zone, 4:30, jump it to 5:30 because I'm on the half hour here. And so it's really cool because it doesn't really look like a GMT watch, and even at first glance you wouldn't realize that the second time zone, this inner dial, right, there's that inner dial that is tracking a second time zone, but it is. And so it's a really cool kind of subtle feature. I think they do just an unbelievable job at making kind of precision instrument. Again, I have this because it's a little off the beaten path, and it's just a watch that a lot of people Arnold and Son. Even for watch guys, you kind of have to tell them it's kind of a British maritime, designed to be a navigational instrument and timing piece for I think their navy essentially. Now it's a Swiss watch. It's kind of been resurrected, and so I think it's one of those really really underappreciated brands. And again. They don't compete at the price point that some other really high end Swiss brands. You can get Arnold and Sons new for $7,000 to $10,000, and so it tends to be a little cheaper than maybe your equivalent IWC and certainly some of the higher end brands. So this is a quick look at the watches that I really love and wear on a pretty regular basis. And if I were to have a house fire and grab the watches that I really care about, these would probably be it. Peter from Panda. Out.